Have you ever been in the middle of an argument and felt like you were suddenly falling down a black hole? Picture this. It's 2 a.m. You're standing in your kitchen, facing someone you thought you knew. Your question was simple. It was clear as daylight, but the answer you get is a fog. 1 minute, you're talking about the truth. The next, you're defending yourself against a mistake you don't even remember making. You find yourself asking, how did we get here? Why am I the one apologizing? Don't be fooled. That wasn't an accident. It wasn't a miscommunication. It was a design, a calculated architecture of chaos. In the world of manipulation, the deadliest weapon isn't a scream. It isn't a cheap insult or a slammed door. The ultimate weapon is confusion. A manipulator doesn't need to defeat you with logic. They only need to make you lose your way. They deploy a smokescreen to cover their own cowardice, and they let you suffocate in it. Stoicism teaches us, the world is chaos, but your mind must be an order. But how do you maintain order when someone is intentionally burning your map? Today, we learn to see through the smoke. We learn to wield the sword of reason to cut through the chains of ambiguity. I'm Jason, and this is the Stoic Habit. Stand firm. We are going into the dark corners of the human psyche. Part 1. Anatomy of the smokescreen, when truth is a sentence. Why would someone intentionally confuse you? The Stoic answer is simple: because they lack the courage to face reality. To a manipulator, the truth is a death sentence they aren't brave enough to sign. To protect their fragile ego, they must create an alternative reality, a place where boundaries are blurred, definitions are twisted, and truth becomes a matter of perspective. Look at the contrast. Sincere confusion is an invitation. When I say, I don't understand, I am building a bridge. I am reaching for the logos, the objective truth of the universe. I ask to learn. I listen to grow. But weaponized confusion is an attack. It doesn't build bridges. It builds walls. When a manipulator says, I have no idea what you're talking about, what they are really saying is, I refuse to be held accountable. They don't use confusion to find an answer. They use it to murder the question. Marcus Aurelius wrote, everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. But to intentionally distort facts is a betrayal of the human soul. The manipulator views your mind as a battlefield, and confusion is the chemical gas they release to paralyze your defense. If you find yourself arguing with someone who answers every direct question with a vague counter-question, take heed. You aren't in a conversation, you are under siege. Part 2. The 3 faces of deceit, the red flags. How do you spot the trap before it snaps? There are 3 red flags you can never afford to ignore. First, the circular carousel. You bring up point A, they jump to point B, you follow them to point B, and they immediately loop back to a distorted version of point A. You feel like you're on a merry-go-round of insanity. Their goal is simple: exhaust you until you let go. A Stoic knows that time is our most precious asset, and the manipulator is trying to steal it by making you run circles around a ghost. Second, vague shadows. They use phrases like, it's just common sense, everyone knows that, or I've told you 1,000 times, but when you ask, when, where, or who, they look at you like you are the one losing your mind. They don't offer data, they offer vibes. They want you to doubt your own memory. This is gaslighting at its most clinical. They don't erase the past, they just blur the lens until you can't see it. Third, the sudden exit. When every trick fails, when the light of reason finally hits their dark corner, they pull the emergency brake. I can't talk to you when you're like this. You're being unreasonable. I'm done. They can scroll on TikTok for 3 hours. but they don't have the energy for a 10-minute honest conversation. That isn't exhaustion, that's an escape. It's the white flag of a coward protecting a lie. Remember this: an honest soul does not fear the details. Only those with something to hide need the darkness of the general. Part 3. The Stoic's Blade, the headline tactic. So, how does a Stoic stand still in the center of a storm? We don't fight darkness with more darkness. We use light. The most powerful technique you can use right now is, give me the headline. In journalism, the headline is the essence. There is no room for fluff, no room for, he said, she said. When you see them starting to ramble, starting to blame shift, starting to drag up baggage from 5 years ago, stop them. Look them in the eye and say, stop. Give me the headline of what you are actually feeling right now. Why does this work? Because it strips the manipulator naked. It robs them of their fog. If they are truly hurting, they will say, the headline is, I feel disrespected. That is the start of a real conversation. But if they are manipulating, they will hate the headline. They will call you cold. They will call you controlling. Why? Because they don't want a headline. They want a 1,000-page trashy novel where you get lost in the footnotes. Stoicism is the art of pruning. We prune emotions to find reason. We prune words to find truth. When you demand a headline, you are practicing wisdom. You are telling the universe, I am not here for hide and seek. I am here for the truth, however much it stings. The fact is the mountain beneath your feet. The feeling is the cloud passing over the peak. Don't let them use the clouds to convince you the mountain doesn't exist. Ask them, is this a fact or is this a feeling? Clarity is the final border of your inner citadel. Part 4. Controlling the pace, the power of the pause. A manipulator lives on speed. They need you to react. They need you angry. They need you caught in their frantic rhythm so you don't have time to think. The Stoic does the opposite. We own the tempo. When you feel the confusion rising, that is your signal to slow down. Slow down until it becomes uncomfortable for them. Say, we're moving too fast. I'm becoming confused. Let's go back, one step at a time. At your pace. I'll wait. When you move slowly, every crack in their lie becomes visible. It's like putting a specimen under a microscope. A lie cannot survive detailed scrutiny. The manipulator will lose patience. They will get angry because you refuse to fall into the pit. And that is when they trip over their own feet. Never over-explain. Over-explaining is a scent of blood to a shark. It's a sign of insecurity. When you give 10 different explanations,